Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today we're doing another page flipping, finger licking video in the preferred volume of voice, which is soft speaking, according to a YouTube poll I did a little while ago. So I have a couple magazines. I have this one right here. It's a little thin, but we'll maybe go through it twice or something. And then I have this magazine, but I guess the pages are okay. They're not super glossy, but it's a SUNY Albany magazine. I don't know why I'm still getting stuff from SUNY Albany. I don't know how SUNY Albany got my address because I definitely didn't live here while I was in college. But anyway, I'm doing a little bit of a different setup with the mic. Normally I have it to the side so that this ottoman, which is sort of my desk or table of sorts with the magazine, is flush against me, but then I'm always awkwardly leaning into the mic. So this is a bit of an experiment and we'll see how it goes. Let's get right into it. Well, first I want to acknowledge that I wear this shirt so much, but if you've watched my videos for a while, you'll know that I have like 3 t-shirts and like 4 long sleeve shirts that I wear all the time. So you see them repeated a bunch in my videos. So let's get started. It was raining earlier, which always makes the cars outside a lot louder than normal, the way that I guess the sounds echo off the wet pavement. So please bear with that. So the first magazine, I finally got magazines mailed to me, is from ModCloth, which is a online clothing store. I don't think they have one in person that I know of, but it's an online clothing store I order from. Not often, but when I do order clothing, it's from them. I just really love their style. In fact, I really hope looking at this doesn't tempt me to like go online. I've really consciously avoided going on the website for the last several months because I've been trying to be more into minimalism and I feel like I have enough clothing. I've even recently gotten rid of a lot of clothing that I never wear. So yeah, let's hope it doesn't tempt me too much, but let's get started. So far so good. I think this is the spring edition. Does it say? April 2019. Of course, this is going to get uploaded, I think, in like June or something. So, or maybe even July, who knows. If it's any consolation, I'm filming this in May. So they have here just some like photo ops of women in dresses in strange situations. Against the current. This month we continue to celebrate the irrepressible spirit of those who live against the current. All right, I'm not going to read that whole paragraph. Just show me the clothing. So they have someone called Dasha Polanco. Oh, she's an actress. I was like, I don't know who this person is. Sorry. I'm like not very well attuned to like pop culture unless I see it in passing on Tumblr / Instagram if I'm like just browsing. Or there's like a couple like lifestyle YouTubers I follow, like literally 3. So if I see stuff that they mention, then I'll know about pop culture, but otherwise I'm pretty out of the loop. So this is about floral prints. I actually really love floral prints. Although this outfit is like very meh. It's fine. It's not, doesn't call out to me, but I generally like floral prints. So this is good. Maybe I won't get tempted after all. And this is called Novelty, so more prints. It's fine. Again, it's not like super my style. for a uniform. Let's see. I like this dress. Let's see how much it is. Oh, it's a skirt? No. Oh yeah, it's like a top and a skirt that go together, even though they match. Way above my budget. These kind of outfits, I can find usually for a lot cheaper at like Beacon's Closet, which is sort of a thrift store in New York City. You can find kind of cool clothing that it is used, but it's usually in good condition and it's much cheaper. So, to be honest, I think a lot of ModCloth stuff is overpriced. I don't think I've ever bought anything for full price on that website. I just go to their sale section, and that's usually like a little more affordable and reasonable. Because some of their stuff's nicely made, some of their stuff is like not the best quality that you'd expect for the price. So here's another person, Aquafina, but spelled not like the water. She is a rapper turned actress. Never heard of her. I'm not trying to shade anyone. Guys, I've had to edit this video in the first 5 minutes so much because trucks love being loud. I'm looking outside right now. The sun is starting to come out. It's actually kind of nice. Okay, back to the magazine. Full Bloom. Well, these are like definitely really pretty, but I guess I've grown out of this specific style. But they are nice looking. I'll give you a little peek. I really thought I'd be oohing and eyeing. Then we've got swimsuits. Actually, my favorite swimsuit, well, the bottom I got from ModCloth, and the top I bought at like Target. But I really do like it. I'm excited to wear it this summer. Now this is someone called Hari. Off the Runway, you may have spotted her in hit shows. So I guess she's another actress, model/actress. Yeah, I'm feeling really good about this magazine because none of this clothing is really making me feel like that I need it, if that makes sense. Like none of this clothing is making me feel like I want to jump on the website and buy stuff. So I really thought I'd be super tempted, but it's all ordinary as far as I'm concerned. All right, that's the end of that magazine. Some cute shoes in the back, but I can't really wear those because my toe, since I broke it 2 years ago, never like fully healed properly. So I need like a very wide toe box. That's not what it's called. Is it the toe box? Anyway, let's move to another magazine where we're just going to chit-chat about random stuff because I doubt there's going to be anything interesting in this. No offense, SUNY Albany, but as a 31-year-old, I'm just really not concerned about college anymore. Imagine like my photos randomly in here. Doubtful. I'm not like one of those alumni. I think if you like pay, you can be an alumni and like keep your email address. Maybe get like a free shirt in the mail. I have no idea. All right. So we're just gonna flip through and chit chat about random stuff. So I'm really late to the game, but I recently discovered audiobooks and it has changed my life. I've always loved to read, and I have obviously my own collection of books. And then about a year ago, well, I've been reading fan fiction for a while, which I would just read on my phone. And then a couple years ago, I got like the app for my New York Public Library, and it was such an ease to, return and borrow ebooks and just read them on my phone and not have to carry a book around. Although I do like actual books, I like the sound that it makes when you crack the spine. I like sorry, I got distracted by these weird images on this magazine. The smell of the pages. Also, it's less straining on your eyes and your like carpal muscles, for when you're just like swiping through reading a book. But it's very convenient. And then it wasn't until like a couple months ago that one of the books I wanted, they only had it in audiobook form, and I thought, sure. And it was so life-changing being able to listen to the story. First of all, I was able to appreciate it more because I'm a bit of a speed reader. Even when I don't want to be, my eyes just quickly scan the words, take in the information. And doing so, I miss some of the nuances of the language. Sometimes I even miss details. Or I'm known, admittedly enough, if there's a passage that I'm less interested in, I kind of scan it. I don't, go through every word. This part of the magazine is like a magazine within a magazine. Oh, it's like a fold out. It's like some kind of going back from 1844 until 2019. It's like history. I feel really sad right now. My husband's texting me, and he's like on his break, and now he's like on his way back to work, and I didn't get a chance to text him back, but that's okay. I'll text him later. So, where was I? But with like audiobooks, for one, there's no scanning because someone's reading it, so you're going to have to hear every single word. So you get more of the author's story without skipping over any of the nuances and so on and so forth. But also having someone read it aloud, you get to hear, you get to have the names pronounced for you. There's a lot of times words and usually names I cannot pronounce, so I just mumble it up in my mind. So it's nice to hear them read aloud, but also, hearing the different characters' voices, and the people who, narrate these audiobooks are really excellent voice actors, and it's really, I remember for the first book I heard, it was actually called The Ruin of a Rake, and it's like a male-male romance thing that takes place in like Regency time, and it's like one of my favorite genres, to be honest, as far as like the male-male romance genre goes. But anyway, there's like certain humorous things where I might have like chuckled internally if I read it, but hearing it like read aloud made me actually laugh out loud, which doesn't often happen when I'm reading, to be honest. So that's really enjoyable. But what's also amazing, and I'm sure those of you who already, listen to audiobooks know this, but just being able to, first of all, on the train, just getting to sit back and relax as opposed to like having my head down. But then when I get off the train, I usually have to put my phone away, and now I can just continue. I can go grocery shopping. I can clean my apartment, wash dishes. I can walk to and from work from the train, and to be able to have my story keep going. And also the strain on my eyes and my hands, because I tend to read a lot on my phone. I'm on my phone a lot, but I'm not like exploring Instagram or like scrolling through social media. I'm usually reading on my phone, and it causes a lot of issues with my carpal tunnel. So yeah, it's really cool. That's been like my newest obsession. So I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks, and it's just like making my life basically. And I go through them so quickly. Like the audiobook will be like, this is 24 hours worth of reading material, and I finish it in like 48 hours, which means, like half my day is listening to it, but I like can't put them down, All right, let's flip backwards. we're done, so we're going to go in reverse while I finish chatting with you guys. So yeah, besides my male, by the way, I mean like M/M, like two guys getting it on. Well, it's not, sometimes it's sexual, it's usually romantic. It's like a romance, I guess a gay romance novel. That's the best way I can put it. KJ Charles is one of my favorites, but there's a bunch of other ones that I've discovered, like Cat Sebastian, and Ava March is okay. But anyway, so I've been reading that and listening to some audiobooks. But my actual preferred, like, favorite genre, well, I like fantasy and science fiction for sure. Anything medieval always attracts me, but what I've been mostly into lately is historical fiction. There's that author, Philippa Gregory. Her most popular book was turned into a movie, The Other Boleyn Girl, but she also wrote Lady of the Rivers, which is about Chiquetta. I'm going to say her name wrong, so I'm not even going to try her last name wrong. And then, of course, The White Queen and the White Princess, which is about Elizabeth Woodville and then her daughter, Elizabeth Tudor. And it's all about the War of Roses, but it's written from a first person, very like historical fiction. There's a lot of history involved, but she also twists history to fit her narrative. But you really get into the characters. So I had read those before, just read the books. But then she had a bunch of audiobooks on my library app. So I recently listened to The Boleyn Inheritance. That was really good. That was done from 3 different perspectives with 3 different voice actresses playing the different parts. It was so well done. You guys know I'm obsessed with the Tudors. I just love War of Roses, Tudor, like Old English history. It's really fascinating to me. So, yeah, I'm like obsessed. So that was really interesting. It was about Anne of Cleves, which was Henry VIII's, that was his 4th wife. And then about his 5th wife, Catherine Howard, and Jane Boleyn, which was Anne Boleyn's sister-in-law, the wife of her brother George Boleyn. It was a really well-done book, well-written, well-read. And then Taming of the Queen was really good. That was all about Catherine Parr, which was Henry VIII's final queen. I just recently finished Margaret of York by a different author. And that is, if you guys know anything about English history, I'm sure most of you know who Henry VIII is and all his wives. So if you go backwards from there, his father was Henry VII, Henry Tudor VII, and Henry VII, his wife, so Henry VIII's mother, was Elizabeth Woodville II, I guess, who became Elizabeth Tudor. So her mother was Elizabeth Woodville, because they both have the same name. And her father was King Edward IV, who was the king for a while. He was of the House of York. I know I'm boring all of you who are not into this, but he was the king, and then he died, and his sons should have been the next kings, but they were imprisoned, and they're called the Princes in the Tower, probably killed, maybe by their uncle Richard III, who you've probably heard of. He's like infamous in history. Anyway, Edward IV, who we were just talking about, he had some sisters and brothers. Well, Richard III was one of his brothers, but one of his sisters was Margaret of York, and she was very influential in history. And so I recently listened to a book about her. Now, with historical fiction, there's 2 types of books. One of them is the one that I prefer, and it's a little more fantastical. The history isn't always 100% accurate. There's a lot of speculation, and it's used to make an interesting narrative. So this one I just recently listened to. It's not by Philippa Gregory. It's by someone, Anne Easter Smith, I think is her name, is the author's name. I really liked it. It was definitely, she played around with history a bit. She basically created that Margaret of York had this like secret love affair with Anthony Woodville, which was the Queen's brother, which there's no proof in history that ever happened, but she's able to tell this story somehow so that it works with actual historical events, and it makes it more compelling. I really liked it. She wrote it from like a third person omnipotent, is that the word? Where she it was mostly from Margaret's point of view in third person with her thoughts, but she also could randomly jump into other people's point of views in the same scene, and it worked really well for the story. But I like stories like that Philippa Gregory writes, where it's either first person or third person, like introspective, where you're getting into their mind and there's actual dialogue and there's scenarios, and you become really attached to the characters, like in any fiction book. The other type of historical fiction that I've been coming across, which I don't like as much, one I'm listening to right now, it's called The Winter King by Dan Jones, I think, or some other. That, and then also there was a book called The Plantagenets. Maybe that was by Dan Jones. I don't know. They both were male authors, and I was like, oh, cool, 15 hours or 20 hours worth of Plantagenet or Tudor history. And it's fine. There's no real narrative. It's just, here's some facts, and then this happened, and then that happened. So it's really just a history book, which is fine, but it's not what I was looking for. Now, mind you, I love going on Wikipedia, and I'll just read entry after entry about kings and battles, etc. But for an audiobook, I like there to be more dialogue, more captivating storytelling. And it's really just a Wikipedia entry being read aloud, so those are not my favorite. I really like when we twist the fiction, the history a bit to give a narrative. Anyway, that's just me. But that's been what I've been listening to lately. Let me know in the comments below if you have any audiobooks or books that you recommend. I do like fantasy. The Name of the Wind is really good. And then there's a sequel, which I don't remember the name of the sequel, but I'm waiting for the third book. I'm excited about that. But besides fantasy and a little bit of sci-fi, and if I'm not reading my male gay romances, which I love, because a lot of them are well written. But yeah, historical fiction is where it's at for me. I just love historical fiction. And I wind up learning a lot about, if you can sift through the fiction and the facts, you can learn a lot about ancient history, which is a lot of fun. Speaking of ancient history, oh my gosh, there's this show, it's now the third season I'm in the middle of watching, it's on Netflix, called Roman Empire. I love this show so much. Basically, I've probably talked about it ages ago when the first season came out 3 years ago. But it's kind of like a documentary of sorts, but in a TV show. And they have people talking, there's a narrator who's Emperor Nero went to get his throne, but, his sister tried to prevent him. And they have, the reenactment, and they'll have actual scenes where these actors are talking, and they have the costumes and the scenery. But then they'll also jump to, actual historians doing their little thing, and then they'll go into scenes. So it's not quite like that TV show Rome or Spartacus or The Tudors, which I love, all three of those, or The Bourgeois. I did like that show too. where it's this like steady stream of like actors and drama and scenario. But you get a little bit of that like acting out scenes, but also a historical narrative and historians like discussing different scenarios and theories, and I just love it. It's so cool. The last show I'll talk about, I always talk about TV shows and books. The last show I'll talk about is another favorite of mine. It's called Mars. I think it's on the History Channel or something. What's the other channel that's not the History Channel, but it's just like it? I don't know. But it's so good. It's so amazing. So it's called Mars, and it's so well done. It's basically a dramatic show with actors and costumes, obviously. It takes place on Mars. The very first episode is the astronauts, like a group of 10 or something in their spaceship, getting ready to go to Mars and see if they can colonize it. And they have a whole plan, and of course, things go wrong, as they will. And of course, it's like SpaceX that's putting it on or sending them out there. And, you know, we carry on with this story. I'm now on season 2. I'm like halfway done with season 2 right now. And, you know, we continue with these characters. We learn about their past, their motivations for going there, the relationships that bloom between them, romantic and otherwise, as well as the scientific problems that come up. But while half the episode, it's sort of similar to Rome, but it's like different in a way because you become really attached to the narrative that's happening. And that's not based on history. It's based on a potential future. But half the episode is people talking about like astrophysics, astrophysicians, astrophysics. You know what I mean. And people who work with astronomy and who work with different things with science and space, etc., doing sort of these little like interviews talking about if we went to Mars, or authors of books like what Mars would be like. I think the TV show is crafted off of a book called Mars, or like Going to Mars. And it's using scientific data about like what Mars would be like and what we would need to colonize Mars and probable outcomes. It's hard to explain, guys. Just check it out. It's so good. It's honestly amazing. And it's really documentary style, where half the episode is like seeing these characters, and then we jump out and we talk about like global warming and climate change and how that affects things, or we talk about technology, and we learn about things that are happening now and things that are proposed for the future. And Elon Musk is in a lot of episodes. It's like him and the guy who wrote the Mars thing, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, and other people like this that have these little like interviews, if that makes sense. Talking heads is, you know, like, it's hard to explain, but like if you can find it online, I recommend watching it. I think season 1 is on Netflix, but season 2 wasn't. I had to find that somewhere else. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I talked a lot, but I should have uploaded before this video a few weeks ago a silent page flipping video. So if you want to just hear the sounds, be sure to check that out. This is just for those who like soft-spoken chit-chatting while I flip. So thank you all for watching and supporting my channel. Let me know if you're watching Roman Empire or Mars, or if you have other shows or audiobooks to recommend to me. I'd love to hear them. Again, sci-fi, historical fiction, fantasy. Those are the things I like, so let me know. Let me know in the comments below. I might have already read or seen the TV shows, but I want to hear about them anyway. I also like science books, but I can't listen to those. Like when I read A Brief History of Time, I had to like read the book and reread things over and over again and see the diagrams. I could never listen to an audiobook of that. So, actually, if you want to recommend any science books below, because I read Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson, and it was just fine. It was a little bit of a letdown after reading A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. So, I don't know. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up. Again, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all soon.